Hi, welcome to the video. My name is Dychronic, and today I wanted to talk about my top 10 PvP primaries in Destiny 2 Season of the Haunted. Should I say Season of the Bugs. And of course, as always, I have made a spreadsheet for this video, which can still be found at my Discord server, link in the description down below, on the channel #spreadsheetsdocs. And I know you guys probably don't like cute animals, but I do have to put them in the beginnings of these videos to say, first of all, thank you for watching these videos. It really does make a lot of difference. But also to say that these spreadsheets take a lot of time and a lot of effort, and these things would not be possible without the support of my patrons. If you want to see them continue for only like $3 a month, I can continue making them. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. On screen right now, this is my spreadsheet. Dark theme, color coded, information about quests, catalyst information, perk recommendations, rankings, all the different stuff that you want to know about all these weapons, and of course the top 10 as well as sub rankings. And obviously I don't really do these videos like a lot of other people do. I'm not going to hang the top 10 carrot on the stick. Instead, we're going to go through each of the categories of weapons, pulse rifles, hand cannons, autos, etc., and talk about the different ranked items and talk about the best archetypes within each type. This will give you a better idea of the meta, so you don't have to keep coming back to these videos, which is in hindsight a terrible idea for me to do. But I want to make a good video. In the first major category, we have the auto rifles. And in general, I actually like auto rifles. I think they're an excellent entry option, especially if you're new to the game, or if you're lower level skill in PvP. These are a great option because they're easy, they're simple, they cover a lot of different ranges, and the 600 RPM is that beautiful middle zone of handling, of stability of range, availability perks, etc. And honestly, their time to kill is also actually good, and it's technically better than that of a hand cannon. But there are a few issues. First of all, they cannot peek shoot like that with a hand cannon, so you have to sustain fire, which may not work out for you. They also kind of get dominated within their range by other options. SMGs obviously handle a lot better at close range. Pulse rifles handle their long range and middle range a little bit better and can kind of peek shoot a little bit better. Just doesn't feel like they have a place in the meta. But if you like them, please do use them. Following that, let's take a look at the bows. And honestly, the bows are the same as they were last season for a number of reasons. First of all, the in-air accuracy changes hasn't really affected bows. Most of the time, I'm standing on the ground when I shoot a bow shot, or if I'm in the air, I'm blind firing or hip firing. And usually, in-air inaccuracy doesn't affect that as much. When it comes to the best bow, it's still going to be Le Monarque. For a number of reasons. Even though it did get slightly changed, it still has high damage, it still does that dot effect, it's still an exotic bow, and it's still really nice for competitive shooting with your teammates or in Trials of Osiris. You shoot one bow shot, they shoot a hand cannon shot, and we got a target down. When it comes to the only primary ammo fusion rifle, we have Vex Mythoclast, and at number 10, it definitely deserves its spot for a number of reasons. Incredible stat options, incredible aim assistance, it has that linear fusion rifle shot, which is really nice, it has that extra damage perk from the catalyst like Rampage, and also, as you well know, it's a 360 auto rifle damage, but it's a 390 RPM, meaning it's just faster and better than 360 auto rifle. Do not overlook this weapon, I still think it's really good. After that, we have the only primary ammo grenade launcher, and normally I like to poo-poo on this weapon because it has infinite ammo but doesn't do as much as specials. However, since the changes to special ammo, the fact you can't use scavengers in PvP anymore, you actually have to decide when you're using your special ammo grenade launcher shots. Where fighting line you don't. So it's actually a decent option and very close to being in the top 10. Following that, let's take a look at sidearms, and sidearms are not really doing that well in the current meta. They used to be in the top 10 near the back. I still personally like the 3 burst options, however the SMGs just feel better in a lot of different ways. Obviously just a bit more better control, they feel like they're reaching out to a bit more range, and sidearms as a whole have been dropped by a lot of people. When it comes to the best of the best, actually the new weapon, the Drang, for one reason, and that reason is zoom. All the other sidearms have a 12 zoom. The Drang has a 14. I think the brass has a 13, but still, the Drang has a 14. We don't know why, but that makes it feel a lot better over slightly higher range. And if you don't know, zoom level matters a lot. Beyond that, Traveler's Chosen is still a great option, giving you 30% of your ability energy across the board just by getting one kill, and of course exotic tier stats, although feels again a little weak compared to SMGs. And since we're in the neighborhood, let's talk about Submachine Guns, an excellent archetype. Even though they did get a number of nerfs to some of the zoom levels, are still really good. Specifically, I just want to point out that Shairo's Wrath currently has the highest zoom of any SMG at 16, or at least the highest that I could personally find, and is still an amazing option, although we still do prefer the 900 RPM lightweight frames as the best of the best for SMGs. Even though Multi-Mac did get changed, we also got a new one in the form of Callus Mini Tool, and we still have Funnel Web, which are excellent options. Beyond that, we also got a buff to the zoom level on Huckleberry, which is very nice, and Teraba is still an amazing option. I think we got some changes to the way that its perks work last season, and it feels still really great. So do not overlook Huckleberry and Teraba, also excellent options. After that, let's take a look at the scout rifles. And honestly, the scout rifles have been doing pretty well for a couple of reasons. First of all, we find ourselves in a bit more of a defensive meta. Firstly, we have amazing abilities that we're waiting on from Void 3.0, Solar 3.0, and honestly Stasis. Obviously, there were the in-air changes for the in-air accuracy that made it so you want to stay on the ground more, near cover, and these scout rifles are more defensive in that nature. When it comes to the different archetypes, we still really like the rapid-fire frames. Servant Leader, Aisha's Embrace, Trusty, etc. feel really great, and honestly you don't really need much more range than that. And of course, the best scout rifle is definitely still the Dead Man's Tail. Even again after the in-air accuracy changes, I personally don't jump in the air a lot with DMT, still feels really nice to hip fire, still feels really nice to aim down sights, and also considering that it's a 120 scout rifle is a lot better at peak shooting. Just like we had with the 120 hand cannons, the 140 hand cannons going in and out of cover, Dead Man's Tail does very well. Speaking of hand cannons, at the second to best category, we have hand cannons, which is weird to say because hand cannons have been at the best category for the better part of the 8 years of Destiny's history. Now, this is not to say that hand cannons are bad. If the hand cannons are at number 2 and number 4 versus the pulse rifles at number 1 and number 3, does not mean that hand cannons are bad. They're still an incredible option, and we have a lot of incredible hand cannon options. When it comes to the hand cannons, one of the biggest benefits that they have, like I was saying before, is their ability to peak shoot, being able to go in and out of cover, maintaining their DPS and time to kill output. And again, they do have a higher skill floor, higher skill ceiling, but they also have that higher skill ceiling, meaning that if you can get used to them, they do have a lot of ability, on top of occupying a very nice range, anywhere between SMGs and pulse rifles. When it comes to the hand cannon options for legendaries, the 140s are still going to be the best of the best. Good handling, good stability, good range, perk options, availability, whereas the higher fire rate 180s, they don't seem to kill that fast, they don't seem to have much range, and honestly they cover the target a lot. The 120 options are honestly not bad, very close to being the top 10, do not overlook them, although their handling and reload issues after the nerf do feel a little bit bad. And when it comes to the best of the best of the best, we have a few different options, including Palindrome, some of the best stats in the game, Crisis Inverted, excellent perk options and also really great stats, Fatebringer, good stats with explosive payload plus frenzy as an option, which is insane. Ice Luna, again, incredible stats, although slightly different. We also have Rangefinder with Headstone or Kill Clip as an option, which is really good, and Elstringer as a craftable option, great perk options, and again, really good stats. And I mentioned stats multiple times because a lot of these other hand cannons have very poor stats, or at least very poor base stats, which makes them not as comfortable to use. And hand cannons, very specifically, you do need to have good base stats to make them feel comfortable. A well-rolled hand cannon feels a lot better than a poorly rolled one. And the best of the best is definitely going to be at number 2, Ace of Spades and Hawkmoon. Ace of Spades, again, just feeling unfair. 86 range, which is insane, has the Outlaw, has the Dragonfly, has the Kill Clip damage perk and Memento Mori, and you can see a radar while aiming down sights. Just feels like too much of a hand cannon. And Hawkmoon, incredible handling, you can get really good range with Rangefinder as a random roll option. You also have Paracausal for extra damage and even one-shot and two-shot kills with this weapon. Just feels really amazing. And lastly, for hand cannons, at number 5 we have the Last Word, which is obviously, if you've not seen it in controller-based stuff, it is dominating. You've killed people so fast. If you don't know, it's the 150 RPM hand cannon damage at 225 RPM. Obviously you need to hip fire, and obviously it may be too fast for you to keep your accuracy, but this thing is incredibly powerful, especially if you pair it up with Line Rampant, which gives you plus 100 mid-air accuracy for hip fire. The Last Word just feels amazing. You can also use DMT with the Line Rampant, and honestly, even without Titan stuff, Last Word just feels so good. Even on mouse and keyboard, it's better than it ever has been. They've slightly adjusted it to make it easier, and it's just so good. And in the final category, we have the pulse rifles. Again, like I'm saying before, it is much more of a defensive meta. People are waiting on abilities. People can't jump through the air as much. And honestly, more and more pulse rifle options come in, some new ones, even with Desperado. And even though Desperado did get heavily nerfed, we still find that the New Purpose, Messenger are going to be some of the best, and 340s in general. Now, you obviously see something a bit weird here. We don't usually categorize or take so many different options in one slot, but these pulse rifles feel amazing for a bunch of different reasons. The 340s still feel the best. You can get the 2 burst kills, you can get an extra damage perk, making it even simpler than that. The 390s are honestly one of the more comfortable options, good handling, stability of range, and honestly perk options. And even though they can't 2-shot without a major damage perk, they still feel really nice, and we do have some craftable options, or one craftable option. And of course the 540 rapid fires, Peace of Mind being amazing, Horror's Lease is looking like it's going to be amazing, Grid Skipper is still amazing, Darkest 4, all amazing options, especially if you can get that nice control, a bit more vertical. They feel like a better auto rifle. And finally, the best pulse rifle, no time to explain, at number 1 for a number of reasons. First of all, as an exotic, it has better base stats and much more handling than a lot of these other 340 options that you usually have to spec into. Secondly, it has a really good sight, which is very important on options that you cannot change the sight on. Thirdly, it has a damage perk in the form of Time Slip, allowing that extra turret to get those 2 burst kills a lot more consistently, and that turret tells you the direction that enemies are in immediately, which is very, very helpful. And furthermore, you don't need to get a kill to get that time slip to happen. It's just going to be headshot hits, which is also really nice. Just an overall amazing weapon that you don't need to be jumping around for in-air accuracy that feels really great in the meta. And of course, these spreadsheets and these videos would not be possible without my Patreon support, because let's face it, these things take 10 to 20 hours every week, and I would not be able to do it without the support of my Patreon. So if you want to see them continue, please consider checking out in the description down below. Specifically, a big thank you to Mom, Dad, Chris Thompson, Kellan, Outstrike, Jacob Berg, my next new Vectors, Unipanther, Casey Ray, and further support on Patreon. And that's it. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name's Dychronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.